It's not the right call. I'm sorry. I know it's not the popular thing to say, but I don't do popular. I do right. So President Trump yesterday threatened to completely terminate, wants Section 230 completely terminated. I'll explain what that is and what this has to do with the tech tyrants in a minute. Just hang. Oh my gosh, I'm really sorry, folks. It's chemo. Bear with me. Well, I'll just do. Any more after this, we're going to have to cut some out because it's weird. New York Post, read this article. It's up in the show notes. Trump threatens to veto defense bill if Congress doesn't repeal Section 230 by Emily Jacobs. Okay, first, what is Section 230? What does this have to do with the tech tyrants? And in a moment of, let me say, candor and honesty, I have to be very, full disclosure as always. I know it's annoying, but it's important to say, to be honest, I do have a financial interest in competitors to Twitter and Rumble, Twitter and YouTube, excuse me, respectively, Parler and Rumble. So I think you all know that. From the screenshot, let's read. What does he want to do? So this is President Trump's tweet yesterday. Section 230, which is a liability shielding gift from the U.S. to, quote, big tech. The only companies in America that have it is corporate welfare. He says it's a serious threat to our national security and election integrity. Our country can never be safe and secure if we allow it to stand. Therefore, if the very dangerous and unfair Section 230 is not completely terminated as part of the NDAA, the National Defense Bill, I will be forced to unequivocally veto the bill when sent to this very beautiful, resolute desk. Take back America. Now, he continued, adding a thank you for good measure. He wants Section 230 completely terminated. So I would be remiss, and I'd be acting like a media knucklehead if I didn't tell you what exactly about 230 offends the president and others, and why it gives Twitter, Facebook, and others this perceived sense of immunity. Let's go to Cornell Law. And this is the section of 230. It's in question. I'm going to tell you how I think a better way to handle this is. And folks, again, I can only tell you from the bottom of my heart, this is not done. I learned a lot when I became a part investor and a part owner of some of these. I learned a ton. And I want to explain to you, if we completely terminate 230, could be a really pernicious outcome for us, not for Twitter. Okay, let's go to Section 230. This is Cornell Law. This is Section 47 of the U.S. Code, Section 230. It's called, if you want to look it up, it's called Protection for Private Blocking and Screening of Offensive Material. It talks about civil liability. In other words, can you sue Twitter or Facebook for a post someone puts up? If someone puts up in a post, say, Producer Joe robbed the bank, why can't you sue Twitter? Well, they have this civil liability blanket, and here's what it says. This is the actual code. No provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be held liable on account. So Twitter and others can't be held liable of any action voluntarily taken in good faith to restrict access to or availability of material that the provider or user considers to be obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or, this is the key term, otherwise objectionable. Joe, do we need to translate? Does the Dan Bongino translator have to come on right now? Little bit. You give me I can see Paul is like, yeah, I need to translate. What that basically means is Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and others, they can pull down content, take it off their platform if it falls into one of those categories. Obscenity, lewdness, violence. Those aren't really the issues. The issues that have really that have really caused Twitter and Facebook problems are otherwise objectionable. What the hell does that mean? You want the answer? Joe's like, yeah, give me the answer. That means whatever the hell Twitter and Facebook thinks it means. They don't like President Trump's tweet. We pulled it down. Why? Oh, we thought it was otherwise objectionable. Oh, yeah, well, can you define that? No, we don't need to. It's in Section 230. And they don't. Folks, the argument's it's no more difficult than that. That is the simplest way to describe to you the problem with Section 230. You can't sue Twitter for taking your conservative content down because Twitter says, now we just go to Section 230. We found your content otherwise objectionable. What does that mean? Hell if I know. It's in Section 230. We gave them this pass. So you may be saying, Dan, you sound like you're making President Trump's argument. What's your point? You said you weren't all in for it. I am and I'm not. There's no question Section 230 is a disaster. None. Zero. The same zero file that Harmeet and Lou Dobbs are grabbing from for their hits, if you know what I mean. Zero. But folks, a better way to do it, because I'll tell you what'll happen in a minute. Let me tell you the better way, and I'll tell you what happens if we totally wipe out 230, is to just amend 230, get rid of all that objectionable, all that other stuff, lewd. What's the definition of that? I mean, you could put, honestly, I'm not being funny. You could put up a picture and say a bikini. If you're some dude, I don't know, maybe you're from South America, you like Speedos. Who knows? They like the Speedo down there. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's lewd, right? I mean, Twitter could say, we deem it lewd. What are you going to do, sue them? We deem it lewd, we pulled it down. How about this? How about you throw that section of 230 out and you amend it with, you will be protected from civil liability, Twitter, Facebook, Parler, and others, YouTube, if you pull down content that constitutes a crime or terrorism, or that, and just leave it at that. The rest of the stuff, let the public determine. The greatest analogy I ever heard is, do you notice, Joe, we don't sue the phone company if someone calls someone over the phone and starts yelling at them about their politics? Hey, old man Joe, screw you and your dopey conservative Trump supporting stuff. Nobody sues the phone company. Nobody asks the company to stop phone service. So you're asking millions of Americans to be cut off from Twitter and Facebook? Because Parler, we don't do that, obviously. You're asking millions of Americans who don't even talk of communicate primarily through Twitter and Facebook now. You're asking these companies to cut them off because you don't like their political beliefs because you find them otherwise objectionable. So you're going to cut them off from communicating with the entire globe on a platform pretty much everyone uses. Sounds kind of tyrannical to me. The verdict is in. Dan Bongino's right. Maybe if we told them the same rules applied as the phone company. You cannot call old man Joe on the phone and threaten his life. A police report will be filed, and you run the very real risk of being in prison. You commit a crime on Twitter? You promoting terrorism on Twitter? Okay, fair enough. Everyone else can decide for themselves. We're all big boys and big girls. We'll define what hate speech is. When we know it, downvote people. Move them off your platform. Stop following them. But don't take 230. I promised I'd tell you why. You thought I forgot, right? Folks, if we repeal 230 altogether, it's not going to help. It's actually going to hurt. Why? Because if 230 goes out, that means none of these companies have any liability protection at all against lawsuits. You're questioning, what are you saying right now? Paul and Joe, you're like, great. Let's let everybody sue them. No, not great. How's that not great? We can't stand Twitter and Facebook. I mean, you call them Facebook. No, folks. Once it's pulled down, Twitter and Facebook are going to take everything down. Everything. Why? Come on, Joe, you know the answer. Because they're going to say, we don't want to be sued. Everything's coming down. Everything. There will be no communication platform. You may say, oh, great, we'll get rid of them. Folks, listen, no, because you'll get rid of us at Parler, us and Dan, you have an interest in that. No, folks, I have an interest in getting my ideas out. People ask me all the time, how come you don't just get off Twitter and post exclusively on Parler? Why would I get off Twitter? There are liberal idiots there who need to be called out. My social media home is Parler. I love it there. So I post my exclusives, my videos. I enjoy it. I like it. No, it's not an echo chamber at all. But why would I get off these other platforms? We're still on YouTube, but my home is Rumble. There's an exclusive window. My show goes on Rumble. I'm not a hypocrite. They're my competitors. I literally lose money by posting on there. I could have because I believe that we have to fight that fight everywhere. I'm just asking you to make your home places that respect you. So it's not some hypocritical statement. We can't crush Twitter and Facebook and let them get sued by everyone because, ladies and gentlemen, your website, if you have a comment section on your website, whatever it may be, conservativeoldmanjoe.com, and someone puts a comment on there, and there's no civil liability protection for you. Remember, it applies to websites too, not just Twitter and Facebook. You can be sued too. What's going to happen? You're going to pull your website down. It's not the right call. I'm sorry. I know it's not the popular thing to say, but I don't do popular. I do right.
You just heard Dan Bongino.